All right, psionics. We're working through it. Working on the monsters. I want to know. Do you guys want me to do individual powers? Um, Nobody's really telling me. I mean, I can do it. I mean, we've got like pages and pages of powers. But let me know. But it's Monday. I already disturbed people with the unicorn idea. We'll just go right into something even more disturbing: cerebral parasites. But I didn't come up with this one. But we'll see what we can do with it. Huh? Whether you want to do psionics or not, we'll see what you can do with it. So climate terrain, any. Frequency, rare, don't overuse it, is what they're saying. Organization, infestation. Activity cycle, any. Diet, psionic energy. Intelligence, non, it's 0. Treasure, nil. Alignment, neutral. Number appearing, 3d4. Armor class, nil. Movement, nil. Hit dice, nil. Thaco, nil. Number of attacks, 0. Damage attack, 0. Special attacks, psionic. Special defenses, only affected by cure disease. Magic resistance, nil. Size, T. Flea-sized, so very small guys. Morale, nil. Experience value, 35. And as we've all know, hopefully if you've been watching the channel, everything's subject to change, right? Otherwise, we wouldn't need multiple editions. Anyway, so yeah, even for the people making the game, everything's subject to change. So if it's your universe and this sparks a evil mwahaha idea for you, go for it. So I think the picture here is trying to show just how small these things are. I'm not even sure if that might be flea-sized. Okay, let's see what the book says about cerebral parasite. This you could put into a sci-fi game too. So these tiny psionic parasites float about in the air. It's an airborne parasite. Colorless and nearly transparent, they cannot be seen by the human eye. You can't see them coming. They drift in the wind until they come across a psionic being. Then they attach themselves to the host aura. Remember, like that one power we talked about was the aura one, reading auras. Auras are important if you're going to do psionics. So maybe we should bone up on auras. And slowly drain psionic strength. Combat. A cerebral parasite's attack is so subtle that a victim may not notice it for some time. So in other words, it's draining. You're keeping track of that on your side of the screen. How are you going to do that? And the player doesn't know. You don't tell the player anything. That's what they're saying. Until the player goes to try to use their psionics. And then something doesn't work right. When a psionically endowed individual comes within 1 foot of a parasite, the creature is mysteriously drawn to the character's or monster's aura and attaches itself. This initial attack usually will go completely unnoticed. Yeah, they're like ticks. Like fleas. They sense their host is nearby. So they hop on over. Only a few psionic powers can detect cerebral parasites. Aura sight, life detection, and psionic sense. Okay, so when you go to this is again important. If you have psionics in your game, and it's a thing, like people know psionics exist. You would have people who do certain jobs using their psionics, just like you would have people doing certain jobs using magic, regular magic. All right. So, in theory, you could have somebody who specializes psionically in healing. These would be like, um, you know, clearing the chakras, clearing the aura, all that good stuff, right? Um, they need those specific. They need those kind of powers. Okay, those are things that they would develop, and maybe you'd have a group of people with slightly different abilities, and they would work together. But people would go to them to get their auras cleaned. To there's something wrong with me, you know, uh, doc, and then the psionic doctor would look at their auras and go, "Oh my gosh, you've got parasites," right? Right? Okay. So think about that. You got to have those kind of professions, especially, or people who have like an overlap professions, like maybe they can have aura sight, but they're a medicinal healer. So, but people can still come to them and they can look at their auras, and that influences what they do with the herbs. You guys see where I'm going with that? So, consider what the book's telling you, what could be in your setting besides just the monster. Magical spells which detect invisible or hidden objects are also effective. Of course, the infested host may realize that something is wrong when he uses his psionic powers. Like I said, it don't work. Each time and we have magical spells of these two things. Like you could have like a mage that's what they specialize in. So think about how you're I played D&D a lot over the years, and there's a tendency to make everybody in the village like they got nothing going for them other than they're peasants. But if you really had this much magic and psionics and all that stuff, would everybody be like that? You see what I'm saying? Or would you have a certain proportion of the population who they don't go adventuring and they're not very high level, but they're high enough, or maybe they're retired, settled down, and they work with other professionals as part of the infrastructure of the town, and have services. Each time a victim uses psionic power, the power cost 1 extra PSP for each parasite infesting an individual's aura. Okay. So that's how you suck drain them. The power still works normally, but the parasite absorbs the extra PSP. After a particular parasite has absorbed 6 psionic points in this fashion, it will reproduce by splitting in 2. So then it accelerates. Of course, both parasites will now feed, and process continues. Eventually, the victim may not have enough PSPs to feed the parasites when using a given power. In that case, the power fails. Only 2 methods can rid a victim of cerebral parasites. 1, a cure disease spell, or 2, refraining from spending PSPs until the threat of starvation forces the parasites to leave. Each day the victim refrains from spending PSPs, there is a 1% cumulative chance, 95% maximum, that each parasite will detach itself, since this check is made individually for each parasite. A heavily infested victim is not likely to shake all the pests unless he refrains from using his powers for 3 or 4 months. Yikes. Psionic summary. Level 1 is 2 1 and 2. So that's for the discipline, science, and devotions. Attack defense is 0-0. Score is 18. PSP is unlimited. Only has psychometabolism, devotions, ectoplasmic form, immovability. Back to speech therapy for me, right, guys? Psychoportation, sciences, probability travel. Habitat society. Sonic parasites, as these infestations are often called, have existed ever since scientists have been around. Sages claim that an ancient sect of wizards created the parasites to rid the plains of false mages. I.e., people doing magic different than them. Psionicists. Of course, this tale is very popular even today among most wizards, but its validity is uncertain. The parasite's ability to enter the astral and ethereal planes does not lend credence to this theory. However, entering the ethereal plane is an innate ability. They use probability travel to enter the astral plane. Every 15 years, a plague of cerebral parasites infests the prime material plane. Their frequency becomes common, and 48 will be encountered at once. Scientists dread this time and call it the year of weakness. Ecology. Cerebral parasites, if captured, make a wonderful weapon to use against psionicists. The only problem is that they can eventually escape even the most tightly sealed jar. Each has a 1% cumulative chance of leaving the jar per day. Within several months, few, if any, will remain. Of course, this is because most of them will have left in search for food. Still, even a month or two of security is enough to prompt many to search the winds for these little clear specks. Okay, job opportunity. Looking for cerebral parasites. You got some lore, which may or may not be true. This creature could be great in a sci-fi setting of your choice. It can be slightly modified. So there could be several varieties of cerebral parasites that have developed and adapted. There could be ones that live on magic. They suck mana, for instance, and you could have them do that in Nardoon. Not just the psionic mana, but the real magical mana. And if you've got a magic-heavy place and cerebral parasites adapt to feeding on regular magic, it could completely change your setting. That plague could be way worse. So there you go. Like, why is a planet not magical when all the other planets in the universe are? Do they have a case of magical cerebral parasites? And how do you get rid of an infestation on a planet? Say, something to think about. Let's say you want cerebral parasites that don't attack psionically people, but they attack other aspects like their wisdom or their intelligence, or have an effect on someone's coordination. So this is something to think about. I mean, it's an airborne parasite. What does it do to people? How are you going to use it in your campaign, even if you don't do psionics? Because this thing is potential mayhem. And then how are people going to diagnose the person with parasites? And then how are they going to, what's the cure? If you've changed it up. Okay. If you're going to keep them, they have to be fed. Again, we're back to you have to feed the critter. So, is this again a rich person? They have some kind of low level psionic person that they keep around to feed these things that they can control somehow. Think about that. So, Monster Monday bonus, psionics stuff. Let me know this week if you guys want me to do another power, because we can just work through the powers. I mean, we got a big old book here. The next power in here would be clairaudience, which is allows the user to hear sounds from a distance, and then it got what it can do. Oh, I got Spelljammer noted in here. Interesting. I don't have 2E Spelljammer. I have 5Es. I have no idea how to compare the two because I never had Spelljammer. So, just not a supplement I had bought. I guess I'm going to have to get the original. I don't know what changed. They made changes to it. There was a big controversy or something. The flying monkeys are Yarzarians, not whatever D&D's calling them. And they come from Star Frontiers, and they're not slaves in Star Frontiers. They are a warrior race in Star Frontiers. So, don't want to know why they messed that up for Spelljammer. I guess they just felt they had to change their background. Anyway, they're cool in Star Frontiers. We call them, we can't really decide if they're a flying squirrel, a flying monkey, flying baboon, but yeah, they're cool in Star Frontiers. I don't know what they did to them in Spelljammer. I guess I'll have to research that. What happened to the Yarzarians? I think they ended up in was it Alternity first? Anyway, so onward to the next subject for today. So that's your Monster Monday bonus. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you want out of besides monsters that we're going over, this book. If you want me to go over the powers, because I will. Because that's what I'm for. Before we move on to another book, but we're definitely doing the monsters because there's some cool monsters. All right, bye.